Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy Golden Falls, Golden What Ifs, whatever you want to call me, and I am back. This is a brand new What If. What if Deku had an Eternal Phoenix Quirk or something along those lines? Now, as always, if you guys enjoy, please show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, and leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. I don't want to waste much more of your time, and I want to get right into this What If. So make sure to check the links in the description for the membership, the Discord, and also the Spotify. And if you guys enjoy this What If, please show some love as always. And I don't want to waste much more of your time now, and I want to get right into it. So let's get it. Izuku Midoriya is born into a world full of quirks, superpowers, or really whatever you want to call them. But this version of Izuku is born, well, quirkless. And every single step of the way, they check what his quirk is and try to find out if he even has a sliver of a quirk. If there's any chance that he's going to be a late bloomer, if there's any chance that he's going to be able to gain a quirk of some reality. Now, of course, that's not going to happen, at least not in a traditional sense. Izuku flat out doesn't have a chance at getting a quirk, but he goes through his life as a normal kid, at least all the way up until he's about 14 or 15 years old. Every single turn, every single moment, everybody's asking, oh, what do you guys want to do? What do you want to do? Everybody wants to be a hero, but Izuku himself, he doesn't know. He has no idea. Yes, he wants to be a hero. Yes, he wants to be like All Might, but can he really be like All Might? Can he be like All Might without a quirk at all? And Izuku, well, he's always been a nice kid, a good kid, a kid that is always looked up to certain people that really are great mentors or great people, role models to look up to. He's always been a very nice person to every single person that is around him, and that's not really the case in terms of other people. In terms of other people, there's a lot of people out there that are rude to him, are messed up to him, and that would include like Bakugo, all his friends and cronies, and all these other people. They would treat him like garbage, and Izuku would be at a loss for what he's going to do, at a loss for who he can truly be. And it all comes down to this one day that he's listening to his teacher. His teacher's telling and asking them all, what do they want to do? What do they want to do to, for their future? What do they want to do for the rest of their lives? And he just says, oh, well, I already know all of you guys want to be heroes. And he goes on and on about this or that, about how he knows they all want to be heroes. It's not a big surprise and blah, 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 like all this other stuff, right? And Izuku's just sitting there like, damn, like really? Like everybody wants to be a hero. I mean, but I'm not, right? I can't be a hero. I don't have a quirk. I don't have anything. I just have me. It's just me, just normal me. And of course, the teacher hears that Izuku actually signed up to take the UA entrance exam. But of course, everybody starts laughing at him. Everybody starts making fun of him, saying like, are you serious? Like the entrance exam, like you're not gonna be able to do it. Like there's no way in absolute anything you'll be able to do it. Like there's just no chance. So why would you even try? Why would you even give that effort? And that same day, Izuku would eventually heading home to his mother and just his normal house. And he's just thinking to himself, like, is this even worth it? What's the point? What's the point of him trying to do this? He can make a difference in other ways. He has to be able to make a difference in other ways. And then after all this is kind of going through his head, Izuku would actually make a detour to a nearby park. And this park, I mean, it's a normal, typical park, but he begins to hear something. He begins to hear chirping. He begins to hear this odd sound. It sounds like a bird or some sort of bird that is in pain, in suffering. He runs over toward the noise. The noise gets louder and louder, and eventually he arrives at it. He picks the bird up, and the bird itself feels warm, but not to the warm that you would see. It's almost like you put your hands in front of a campfire warm. He doesn't know what's going on or what this thing is, but it looks like you're far from your typical bird. The bird itself looks red in color, but the wings look like they're on fire. The wings themselves look like the color of flames. And he sees that the bird doesn't have any visible injuries, but it's hurt somehow. It's crying in pain, but he doesn't know what to do. What's wrong with it? What's going on? And Izuku runs off trying to get the bird some help, trying to get the bird anything, but he can't find anybody, nobody near, in which the bird eventually kind of compels him to just sit with him until the time is up, in which obviously Izuku doesn't know what's going on, but he just feels like he should sit, feels like he should wait. And so he does. He sits down, puts the bird in his hands, and sits with the bird until the bird will slowly but surely lose consciousness, and slowly but surely will have its life stripped from him. But as the bird passes away, and as the bird dies in the hands of Izuku Midoriya, a flame would appear. A flame on the bird, and the bird itself would disintegrate into nothingness, only just ash leaving. And as the ash leaves, Izuku feels the ash enter his body. It's as if it's absorbing through the skin, and he's in shock. He doesn't know what's happening, what's going on. The bird, what happened to the bird? He looks at his hands, there's nothing there. The bird's gone entirely, as if it didn't exist at all. He runs over to the location that he found the bird, but the location, it looks odd. Like what's going on? It doesn't look anything like what it was. And then Izuku feels this warm sensation cover his entire body. It's as if it's flames, fire coursing through him and coursing around him entirely. He feels his back open up in a way, and wings begin to appear behind him. He's in shock. He doesn't know what's happening, but he feels this fire burning even brighter than before, and he collapses to the ground trying to breathe. But as he struggles and struggles and struggles, eventually he would calm down, and eventually Izuku Midoriya would be able to breathe just fine. He would focus extremely hard on his breathing and his breaths, and eventually the wings would go back within his body, and he would relax. He doesn't know what's happening or what happened, but eventually he would race home. He would race home as quick as possible to his mother and tell her about what happened, what occurred, in which she's in shock. She doesn't know what's happening. She doesn't know what's going on. She even thinks like maybe this is your Quirk. Your Quirk is finally showing up. Your Quirk finally manifested. But Izuku's like, no, it was that bird, that little bird. He doesn't know what happened, what it was, but it was like a bird, and he explains it. He describes the bird, in which his mother's like, that's not a bird I've ever heard of. That description, it just doesn't fit anything that we've ever heard of. And they begin to do research online, trying to find different versions of birds and stuff like that. And eventually they come across something that isn't your typical bird, because frankly, it's not supposed to be real. It's not supposed to be serious. It's not supposed to be in front of them. This is a mythological creature known as a phoenix, in which Izuku's shocked because it's so small. Like, this doesn't make sense at all. Like, we're talking about a phoenix, I mean, but it's so tiny. A phoenix, aren't they supposed to be big? Like, aren't they supposed to be powerful? In which, of course, she would bring up the fact that just because something is small doesn't mean it's not powerful. In which she says that maybe that phoenix chose him to become this next kind of master of fire, this next person to channel the power of what they know as the eternal phoenix, in which it granted him this quirk, granted him this power, in which Izuku's in shock, thinking, this doesn't make sense. I mean, seriously, it makes no sense. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand why it would choose him. It would choose a quirkless person, in which, of course, Inko's like, nobody knows. None of us do, truly, but there has to be a reason for this. There has to be a true reason why it would decide to choose you, Izuku. In which Izuku thinks for a little bit, but he doesn't know. He doesn't know if there's like a grand design in all this. He doesn't know if there's a reason for all this. He doesn't know if there's a true kind of a thing that is, valid for what's happening. He doesn't know. He has no idea, but he knows that this is a chance for him to be the hero he wants to be, and a chance for him to become the hero he wants to be so badly. And that's what Izuku is going to set out to do. Izuku starts by training with these powers, learning to fly better, learning to utilize this fire that he can control, but also manipulate entirely. These flames that he creates, he can really truly choose how hot, how normal, how calm, how cleansing, anything that it could truly be. From purifying to burning down buildings themselves, he could do all of it. He can do any of it, and that's something that he's in shock about. But he trains for months on end, studying, training, eventually leading him to the UA entrance exam. And this entrance exam is something that excites him, something that they had to rewrite in his kind of whole entrance kind of written portion, that he does have a quirk now. They kind of deem it as like a fire or phoenix like quirk. They don't really know what it is necessarily, but that's what they kind of deem it as. And Izuku would kind of get his chance, go through the written portion of the exam, and then eventually it is now time for the practical portion of the exam. And the practical portion is a very, very interesting portion, because the practical portion is about defeating and destroying robot after robot. And Izuku, well, he flies around this area while trying to fight all these robots, destroying them, melting them, and obliterating them. Absolutely obliterating every last one of them. And as he does this, as he destroys every single robot that he sees, burning them down, but then extinguishing the flames just as he melts them through, Izuku would get an opportunity to save someone as well. Seeing a girl by the name of Ochaku Uraka on the ground, he would fly through, grab her, and push the rubble off and save her, getting her to safety as he sees this giant robot. And as the events of the UA or the UA entrance exam is about to finish, well, someone or some teachers upstairs want to see what the kid is capable of in terms of this giant robot, in which Izuku wouldn't even blink an eye, flying straight toward it, lighting it ablaze. A golden mythical flame burning hotter and hotter as the flame would crumble this giant robot to literal ash. And as this happens, as all this occurs, everybody who is watching, every teacher, every faculty member is in shock, wondering how did he do this? And it's said that he didn't gain his quirk. He didn't get his quirk until legitimately, well, months ago. Normally kids, they have a quirk show up at the age of 4, but not him. No, he got his quirk in just way later. And they don't understand. They don't understand if it makes sense for him. Maybe he has that runs in the family in terms of the regard of him actually, getting a quirk later. They don't know. They have actually zero clue. But at the end of the day, they don't need answers. All they need is this. All they need to do is look at what's happening and figure out if this kid has the potential they really believe he does. And they need a closer look. And it's obvious that this kid has the potential and the chance to be the next great hero. So giving him that opportunity and stamping him with that #1 student title, well, that's something right there that they will not mistake. Because the #1 student coming into UA, well, it is and will be the one and only Izuku Midoriya. Someone who, guess what, didn't have a quirk until like 10 months ago, which is shocking and unbelievable. And there's a lot of people that won't believe it in the first place, and that includes Katsuki Bakugo, who shows up at his house telling him that he heard about these rumors of this kid, green-haired kid with fiery aura and fire on his wings. How does that even make sense? He tells him, has he been making a joke out of him this entire time, his entire life, making a joke about this power? In which he tells Bakugo that no, he hasn't. It truly showed up only 10 months ago, and now he has a chance to be a hero just like they wanted to be when they were kids. But it seems as if Bakugo is not as happy for him as he should be. And he basically calls Bakugo out for this, telling him, like, it seems like you're afraid. That you're afraid that I'll outshine you somehow. That you will fall short of what people believe, and you will fall short in general. But for me, this is just my chance. This is my opportunity. This is my chance to be better, to be greater than I've ever thought I could be. but it seems like you don't like that idea. In which Bakugo shuts down for a second, but then pauses and tells him, you know what? No, I do care that you have a quirk. It was scary and it freaked me out because I thought you were messing with me. I thought you were playing me because I do think we're friends, Izuku Midoriya. But guess what? I'm still going to be better than you. And he's still that cocky Bakugo. Yes, he has a little bit of respect for Izuku, but at the same time, Bakugo still tells him that he's feeling to be better than him. He's going to be better than him. In which Izuku shakes his head and watches Bakugo leave, and he tells him as he's leaving that he's never going to surpass him, not ever since he was gifted this second chance. In which Bakugo would be pissed to hear this because in a way, he slightly believes this as well. He slightly believes that there's a chance, a small chance, in his brain at least, that maybe, just maybe, there is no catching up with Izuku Midoriya anymore. But he lets that leave his mind. He no longer is thinking about that idea. They both start at UA Class 1A, of course, and Izuku heads in, and the first challenge they get is to have a quirk assessment test with, well, the one and only Shota Aizawa. And the first person to the plate is Izuku Midoriya, whose goal and whole idea is to throw the ball as far as possible. And that's exactly what he does. He chucks the ball, and it begins to just have a blaze of fire surrounding it, and it gets sent really, really far. We're talking hundreds of meters, maybe even close to 1,000 meters. But of course, that's not like, you know, the end all be all. We have a girl that ends up throwing it to infinity. Now, that doesn't mean Izuku's scores don't hold up to a massive standard, because when he starts doing these other portions of this exam, or other portions of this quirk assessment, yeah, I mean, he shows that he is fully capable of so much. I mean, he shows so much throughout this time. I mean, he literally is faster. He's stronger than some of the people that are even there, and his high scores in almost every single capability, and his top scores in almost every single capability. He shows that his level, at least in terms of raw power, is higher than most of the people here, getting that number one kind of student and that number one in the quirk assessment just like that, proving that he is really worthy of that number one title, that number one stature. And of course, Izuku just continues to push forward on this idea, continues to push forward on this this want to be even better, and he would get a chance to even face off with Katsuki Bakugo, as the next day they would do heroes versus villains training. And this training, well, it's a pretty straightforward idea. The heroes got to touch the bomb, capture the villains along those lines, and the villains, well, they just need to protect the bomb for 5 minutes or capture the heroes, making it so they can no longer touch the bomb, obviously. And this would be a villain team of Bakugo and Tenya Ida, and a hero team of Izuku Midoriya and obviously Ochaku Uraraka. And this would be a simple one. Izuku would just fly around, search where the bomb is, melt through the glass, and eventually find the bomb, touch the bomb, and just like that, it would be done and dusted. Izuku and Ochaku being at the very top in terms of how fast and how proficient they were at actually taking this portion of the kind of training session down. And this would piss off Bakugo. Bakugo would be angry about this. I mean, at the end of the day, he wanted to fight Izuku Midoriya. He wanted his chance to prove that he was stronger. He wanted this chance to prove that he could beat him. But of course, Izuku didn't really give him that option. Izuku didn't really give him that chance to prove that he was this or that. And Izuku just did what he thought was best. He did what he believed was the correct thing to do, and that was obviously just avoid conflict and just touch the bomb and win the training session. In which, of course, All Might would congratulate him and Ochaku for thinking smarter, not harder, right? And avoiding conflict in general. And that's something that Izuku believed that he really was going to excel at, and that's what he did excel at. And Izuku and Ochako passed with flying colors, leading to obviously Bakugo still being a step behind his quote-unquote rival. This would lead obviously them to finishing up their kind of heroes versus villains training, and then eventually it would be kind of time for their next portion of training, and that next portion of training would obviously include the rescue portion of various different trainings. Now, that would be with the USJ. Now, obviously the USJ, doesn't go to plan like it was supposed to normally, because obviously their whole deal was they wanted to work on rescue training, different times, different places, different areas. That's the thing that they wanted to get into. But obviously, when they got there, the USJ was getting run over by various villains. And Izuku is shocked to see this. Like, okay, that's not good. Like, what is happening? And before you know it, he's teleported through a portal and he falls straight into the water. Now, it's a little inconvenient, but Izuku never really messed with water for the most part in dealing with his own powers. But he could still feel the fire surging around him and surging through him. So when a kind of a fish-like creature or fish-like villain would come attack him, he would immediately be able to utilize fire itself to actually hit the villain away, and then Asui would come through and swoop him up and actually save him. He thanks her, of course, and says that they'll be able to get out of here pretty easily, but he should probably do something about these villains. He doesn't know exactly what he should do, but he decides to put kind of a layer of fire over the water so that they can't just freely escape and freely get out, and kind of keeps them down there without, any chance of getting out. But of course, it doesn't hurt them necessarily. He would then utilize his wings or his ability to fly to take both both Mineta and Asui away, and also to safety, placing them down. As he does this, he looks back to see that Aizawa is fighting off all these villains, fighting a ton of these villains and actually defeating them. But of course, this would lead to Aizawa getting smacked right into a wall by the Nomu. The Nomu would smack the hell out of Aizawa, and the Nomu would just stand there completely still, and Izuku would fly in, swooping up Aizawa and getting him out of harm's way. But seeing that Aizawa is extremely hurt, Izuku would tell him to calm down and don't look, in which he would be confused, but he would close his eyes as Izuku would light him on fire, basically, but it would begin to heal the injuries. It would begin to heal the injuries that would actually hurt him or have him, for the most part, injured. And like a lot of the brutal stuff that happened, it doesn't fully heal him. As the flames would dissipate, he would be okay. Like, he would be somewhat okay, but he would still be hurting in different areas. But he would be okay enough to like be conscious, be aware, and also utilize his quirk if need be. And he tells Izuku to get out of here, go get help, and get help from somebody. And he tells him that, well, Tenya already ran off. He already ran off to get help, so there's no point of him flying away. And as he says this, the Nomu would come charging in, and Izuku would send fire and flames toward the Nomu as much as he possibly can, and even kind of make the flames grow bigger with his wings flapping straight toward it, creating a kind of like a mini hurricane of fire. And as he's doing this, he would try to brace himself for an eventual attack from the Nomu, but of course someone would come swooping in, and this would be All Might. All Might would take the fight to the Nomu, and with the flames on the Nomu, it seems like it's making the Nomu a little bit weaker. At least weaker to the point where he's easier to actually hit, and easier to actually take down in terms of damage. And as Izuku, well, he gets Aizawa into a safe place. He goes to look to try to help All Might, but as he goes to help All Might, a hand would go through a portal, and it would grab onto the wing of Izuku. Izuku's wing would then basically perish, and it would begin to spread to the rest of his body. Izuku could feel his body crackling, crumbling, and Izuku would panic. He would begin to panic extremely hard, trying to do something. But before you know it, before anything happened, and before anything would even go on, well, Izuku would crumble into dust, and Shigaraki would begin laughing, as All Might would see this as kind of like Like he needs to get it done quick. Like he needs to finish the job quick. And he would punch the Nomu so hard he goes spiraling out of the entire building. Everybody's in shock looking at, well, the literal dust that is crumbled, that is Izuku Midoriya. And as Shigaraki basically sees the Nomu get launched out of the area, Shigaraki and Kurogiri, they kind of stand their ground, saying they're not going to leave until All Might is on the ground, perished and killed. And as they're saying this, they begin to feel rumblings all around. Fire begins to spurt out, and fire begins to cover a ton of the area. Of course, a lot of people would look toward anyone else. What's happening? And then this leads to Bakugo seeing an opening, immediately hitting Kurogiri and Shigaraki with an explosion. And also, we have Todoroki come out of nowhere as well and send ice spiraling toward both of the villains, as All Might lands a crucial blow to both of them, knocking them both out. But this rumbling, this kind of shaking, and the fire that's now appearing isn't from anybody else. Everybody's staring in awe as the fire would consume the dust that was of Izuku Midoriya, and Izuku Midoriya would come out of the flames, and he would come out of the flames with his wings even larger than normal, but the fire even brighter than normal as well, and his clothes completely burned to an absolute crisp, in which everybody is in complete shock, but at the same time, they're like, can someone help him get clothes on, like, ASAP? In which, of course, a ton of the other heroes get there, capture the villains, get them in handcuffs and stuff like that, and they cover up Izuku, and Izuku even covers himself up with his wings. And Izuku's basically sitting there like, what just happened? Like, what just happened? Seriously, like, he saw something. Like, it was crumbling. His body was crumbling. He was breaking, and he was gone. He was dead. In which they don't know what's happening, but he thinks to himself that he saw an image of something. An image of this creature that would be of this phoenix variety, and the wings of the creature would spread and cover Izuku once again, as if it protected him, as if it brought him back. And Izuku looks at his body, looks at his hands, looks at his anything, his wings, and none of it. It's not hurt, it's not damaged. He doesn't know, but it seems as if he's back. He doesn't know what happened, but he's back. And everybody is like, well, whatever happened, whatever occurred, well, all they can say is that it's good that he's alive, right? That's good that he's, not dead. In which Izuku nods his head and says, yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm glad I'm not dead either. In which they would all leave, and they would all get a little bit of time, some time off, and Izuku would just try to learn what happened. He would still research things, look for things, and he learns about how the Phoenix is borderline eternal. Like, he dies and then resurrects, but Izuku doesn't understand. The bird, the little Phoenix he had in his hands, he died. He watched him die, but then he realizes, no, but he didn't. He gained life within Izuku once again. He didn't die. And then he realizes that's what it is. The Phoenix decided to give Izuku this chance at a new life, and in turn even granted himself, the Phoenix itself, life as well. Izuku is in shock that this blows his mind to the point where he doesn't understand much of it all, but of course, there's a conversation between him and Aizawa, all these other teachers, what happened, what occurred, blah, 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 but Izuku doesn't know everything. He has really zero clue the details of it. He only knows it based on mythology. It's all he can really understand. It's all he can really get through his mind. And none of that is fact. No mythology is just straight fact. So how is he supposed to know? How is he supposed to, understand and fully get it through, the whole idea of what's going on? I mean, he has no clue. But at the same time, they tell him that it's good to see that he's alive and well, and he should refrain from putting himself in scenarios like that ever again, because, nobody wants to see him, die. And we don't know if that whole situation, what occurred and all of the things that happened, will happen all over again. In which Izuku nods his head and says, yeah, he agrees. He has no intention of dying. so he'll try his best to stay away from it. And this would lead to the rest of the days coming to an end, and eventually Izuku would be headed out to the UA Sports Festival to stand in front of so many people and to give his speech. He gives his speech to the people that are surrounding, and he gives this speech telling everybody what is going to happen, what's going on, and how they're going to put on one heck of a show for every single one of them. That they're going to give them a show to truly remember. Izuku tells them all of this, and everybody is surging with excitement, is surging with this want and happiness, and they're just flat out ready for whatever is going to happen. And he tells them that this performance will burn brighter than anything you could possibly imagine. And as everyone cheers, everybody gets set up and ready, and everybody prepares themselves, because the first thing that they're going to do is an obstacle course race. And Izuku zooms past everybody, flying through the area, and in flames would be trailing right behind him. He would cut past all these robots, cut past every little obstacle you know to man that is showing up, and eventually he would win before anybody would even be close to the last obstacle. And this would be pretty damn impressive. Everybody's shocked, everybody's cheering, and Izuku would get a quote-unquote handicap, giving him that 10 million point band. But we all know that with the ability to fly, the controllability of his flames, with a team of him, Ochaku Araka, Tokiyami, and Mei Hatsume, it would be very easy for him to fly up and avoid any danger. And on top of that, he's able to utilize the wind from his wings to kind of just get everybody out of the way, forcing them to basically be pushed back or unable to even get close. And luckily enough, Izuku was able to kind of get a feel for it, right? He's able to get a feel for protecting his teammates and also make it so that nobody actually gets close, leading to them passing and obviously finishing the cavalry battle portion of the UA Sports Festival. But the real moneymaker, the real one that everybody wants to see, is, well, the 1 versus 1s. And the first person Izuku faces off with is Hitoshi Shinso, someone who has a quirk that is very unique, and he begins to immediately speak with Izuku, talking to him, saying this, saying that, and eventually he would get a word out of Izuku, and Izuku would be in full control of Hitoshi Shinso. But of course, as this is occurring, Izuku is seeing something, seeing the Phoenix stand in front of him once again, and as the Phoenix stands in front of him, Izuku awaits something. What is it going to do? It's just staring at him. What's happening? All he sees is that until the Phoenix screeches at him, screaming so loud that it shocks him out of the trance. And Izuku looks at Shinso and screams as well. And as he screams, and as this kind of screech or this Phoenix cry would happen, it would send shock waves toward Shinso, sending him flying out, and put him in this kind of emotional manipulation of fear basically throughout his entire body. I mean, he would be terrified. He would be like, what was that? In which obviously he would calm down eventually, but that screech itself made him actually terrified. Like, what even just happened? What even just occurred? I mean, it borderline broke him in terms of just flat out fear. He was terrified at what just happened and what just occurred. But luckily enough, it's over, and he's, well, unfortunately out, and he unfortunately loses. But he even looks at Izuku and wonders, what the hell is that kid? And everybody else is wondering the same thing, especially when he takes on Todoroki, and Todoroki continues to utilize his ice in hopes of, well, cooling off Izuku. But as he flies through, as the fires begin to grow brighter, Izuku, well, he proves why there is no hope for Todoroki, and that the ice he continues to use will only make things worse, as it just melts around him as he touches it, and as it melts around him as he flies through. And eventually Izuku would get toward him and be close enough and lands a crucial blow, sending him flying outside the ring, or flying outside the stage, landing him, well, at a point where he was defeated, and Izuku would be pushing further and further for what is to come and pushing further and further for what is next for himself. And that would include obviously facing off with Tenya, who he is, well, defeated very easily, but also facing off with his childhood rival Katsuki Bakugo. And Bakugo tries everything, explosion after explosion, and every single technique he possibly can think of and imagine, but none of it, not a single little bit of it, would work. And Izuku would overwhelm him with his flames, with his ability to fly, and just with his overarching insane amounts of power. And as well, Bakugo would try his best, would even release an explosion big enough to cover the entire stage. Izuku would come out unscathed, as you could see this kind of flame, or these flames cover him with his wings, covering him as well, using it as kind of like a shield. And Izuku dissipates all the smoke almost instantly and knocks him directly off the stage, defeating Bakugo in one foul swoop. And everybody is watching, and everybody is silent, and they all staring at Izuku and the wings that grow bright and grow brighter as he stares around. And as this happens, everybody begins to cheer. Everybody chants his name, and Izuku Midoriya is basically shown that he really is next, that he really is the next person, the next great hero, and the next powerful hero that everybody will look up to. But as this is happening, as Izuku stands on that podium, as he is granted the #1 student in Class 1A, or in the first year, Izuku would be getting watched very closely by somebody, very, very closely. All For One is currently watching Izuku Midoriya, currently watching what this kid is. He's heard rumors, he's heard little tidbits, and he saw just a little bit. While Shigaraki and Kurogiri might have been captured and put away, he got the information about this kid, about Izuku Midoriya and his powers. And he learned that this power that he has might just be the key to him really unlocking true immortality. And he now knows that plans change, but some plans, they may change for even the better. But with that said, someone might be watching Izuku Midoriya for very, very, very bad reasons. But that is where we're going to have to end off part 1 of 2 of What If Deku Had an Eternal Phoenix Quirk. And if you guys enjoyed, please show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, please show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below. I know this video is a little bit shorter than I'd like it to be. Normally I like my part 1s to be like 45-ish minutes. Like, that's kind of where I like it. But honestly, I think this is good for now in terms of ending off here. But I hope you guys still enjoyed. Show some love to the video as always. And yeah, that's all I got to say. I hope you guys enjoyed. And I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.